You're listening to the Murder Speaks podcast, the show that spills the tea about true crime. Here's your host, Wendy Hinbest.
Hey, welcome back to Murder Speaks with your host, Wendy.
And co-host, Brent.
Yep. So, again, like we always say, my husband does not know anything about this case whatsoever. I did all the research myself, and he knows nothing about it.
Yep. We're just going to go through the case here, learn about it, and ask some questions, hopefully the questions that you'll be thinking about. And, we'll turn it over to Wendy. Wendy, why don't you give us an introduction to the case?
Okay. So today's case is about 53-year-old Judy Baldwin of Chester, South Carolina. Judy McWatters Orr Baldwin, that's her full name, was born January 12, 1963, and she was 53 years old and 4'11". Judy was laid back and caring. Now, after graduating from Chester Christian School, Judy started her own business, Judy's Personal Touch. It was a cleaning business. She was a member of the Woodward Baptist Church, where she also joined the Women's Missionary Union. She was a grandmother, and she was always there for her sons. She cared a lot about her family. Now, in 1981, she married Wallace Todd Foote Orr, and they had two children.
Sorry, what was the last name?
Orr, O-R-R.
Okay, what was the full name?
Wallace Todd Foote Orr.
Wallace Todd Foote Orr. So his first name is Wallace, his middle name is Todd Foote, and his last name is Orr?
I guess that's what it said. Wallace Todd Foote Orr.
Okay.
It makes it easier. You can just say Wallace Orr.
I don't know. Yeah, just go on. It's just one of those names where you're just like, what is going on?
Okay, well, Wallace Orr. She was 1981. She married Wallace Orr.
Yeah.
And they had two children before he died in 2004 in a motorcycle accident.
Oh, okay. So he died. Okay. So he's not part of the case.
So Judy was a single parent. Then she met Judy Baldwin, and they got married 8 months later in 2012. Judy had two children, Chris and Josh Orr, a stepdaughter, Jessica Moss, a stepson, Justin Baldwin, and as of December 2016, 6 grandchildren. Judy Baldwin was a former Chester County 911 dispatcher and police officer. He had years of CPR training. And Judy was very happy. She loved him. On December 14th, 2016, the Chester County Sheriff's Office received a call just before midnight. Judy Baldwin called to report he had a serious car accident.
Okay, we're going to take a second here to introduce you guys to the store. We've introduced you before, reintroduction to the store. You can go to Crystal Kiss.
crystalkiss.com with a K.
Yep.
We sell women's true crime merch. We have T-shirts, crop tops, hoodies, joggers, and we have a hat as well. It's a Murder Speaks hat based on our podcast.
Go check out the website and check out the different styles. There's multiple different sayings. We've got obviously all different kinds of sizes. So check it out and see which ones, see what styles and sizes and colors you're most interested in.
Exactly. And just so you know, there is a discount code MURDER15. That's MURDER15.
For 15% off.
That is correct. And people in the U.S., you get free shipping on everything in the store.
That's right.
So check it out. That's Crystal Kiss with a K.
Chester 911. On this road between I-77 and the golf course, we ran off some roofs. I need help. My wife, I don't think she's breathing. Hey, is she trapped in the vehicle? No, my helmet threw her out. Please help me. Oh, God. Sir, do you want to try CPR? You've already tried? Oh, God.
And that his wife was thrown from the vehicle and she wasn't breathing. The Jeep had gone off the road and down a hill. Her body was found in front of the Jeep and was lying parallel in the creek. And the road was very curvy and it was really dark that night. And it was raining and it was foggy.
Did he say how he lost control of the vehicle at all?
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
So Jamie claimed that when he came out of a tight turn, he suddenly saw the headlights of an oncoming truck on his side of the road. He said he swerved off the road to get out of the way, and the next thing he knew, they were in the creek. He said he was going about 55 to 60 miles per hour, and then it happened really quickly and that he never put on the brakes.
He's going 55 to 60 miles an hour on a windy road in the middle of a rain.
Yep.
Like a treacherous...
That's what he said, and that he never put on the brakes.
Never put on the... Okay.
He said he lost his consciousness after the impact. And when he woke up, Judy was gone. As soon as he realized Judy was not in the vehicle, he tried to find her. He went up and down the embankment a few times. Then he found her at the front of the Jeep. Jamie said he tried to save her life.
So he's walking around and didn't notice that she was laying right in front of the vehicle that he got out of?
So Judy had a lot of bruising across her face. She had head injuries, and she had a horrible laceration over her right eye.
Okay. I mean, without knowing the details of all these bruises and lacerations, it does seem consistent with somebody that was most likely ejected through either the passenger side window or the window shield of the car.
So far.
So
she had bleeding underneath her right ear. Now, Judy's blood smears in the car and her injuries didn't line up with the evidence at the accident scene, so investigators were puzzled.
Okay.
They couldn't figure out why there was so much blood in the vehicle. Jamie said they were on their way to the hospital at the time of the crash because Judy had an accident at home. She fell off a ladder. He said after work, he and Judy went to pick up something to eat. And after dinner, Judy was eager to get ready for Christmas, which was about a week away. Jamie was getting ready for a motorcycle trip he had the next day.
Sorry, she was using the ladder to put up decorations?
Yes.
Okay.
Jamie said he went to the garage to put away some tools. And while he was doing that, Judy was on the ladder putting decorations on the Christmas tree and fell.
Okay.
Judy had a large laceration on her head. Jamie said that he knew that Judy needed medical help right away. He said he told Judy that he needed to take her to the hospital, but Judy insisted on not being taken to the closest hospital.
So we're assuming at this point then, based on his story, that she's fallen off the ladder, hit her head against something, got a big cut, and according to his story, she doesn't want to go to the closest hospital. She wants to go to some other kind of hospital for some reason.
Yes, apparently the closest hospital is Chester Hospital, which is only 2 miles away from where they live. And he said that Judy didn't like that hospital. So he took her to another hospital, which was 30 miles away.
I mean, that's entirely possible if, depending on the situation. If you have, an infection or you're not feeling well and you need to see a doctor and you feel like the hospital that's close to you kind of sucks, so you want to go to this better one, that kind of makes sense. But in a case like a laceration where we're just talking, basically simple stitches or something like that, it doesn't really make any sense that you'd want to go, all that distance. Plus 30 miles is what? A good 30 to 60 minute drive, depending on conditions and speed limits and whatnot. So you're gonna bleed for 30 to 60 minutes as opposed to just bleeding a couple minutes to get to the one that's closer. Yeah,
I wouldn't do that personally.
It's yeah. So that's obviously one of the investigators' first red flags.
So he was rushing her to the hospital and then got into the accident.
Yeah, they were rushing to a hospital that's very far away.
But what's funny is he never called Judy's son, Chris Orr, because Judy's son lived right across the street from where they lived. But he never called her son, not once.
Wait, why would he call her son?
To tell him about the accident, his mother's bleeding to death, and we need to rush her to the hospital.
Well,
presumably
we don't know at this point if she was bleeding to death. If she fell off a ladder, I'm guessing it's probably not going to be a true story. But if she fell off a ladder and was bleeding, she wouldn't be bleeding to death unless she cut a jugular on something.
But why wouldn't he call the son and let them know that your mom it's hurt, I'm taking her to the hospital? They live right across the street from where.
If she was bleeding profusely, I could see trying to. He's got CPR training, so let's just go with his story is legit.
Okay.
So she falls, you cover it to prevent it from bleeding out more because that's part of CPR training.
Okay.
And then you might be like, okay, let's get to the hospital quickly, and then when you get to the hospital, then call the son, right? That could make sense. So that part doesn't trigger me as much as the part of, she fell off a ladder, somehow cut herself so badly, which we haven't really identified yet how she cut herself so badly. Because if I was on a ladder putting up Christmas decorations, and she's 4'11", so she's short. But we're still talking about a fairly small fall, unless she fell on something glass. But so presumably she makes this fall. She's probably got a cut. She's bleeding. It's not that profound. Mm-hmm. They're driving all the way across God's green earth to get to another hospital that's further away. But I could see where you wouldn't call the son yet. That part doesn't seem weird to me.
So her son Josh went to the hospital to see his mother at the hospital, but she was never admitted. But the father was there. Jamie didn't have any serious injuries. So they asked him to answer a few questions at the police station.
We went to Chicken King, picked up supper. About what time? It ain't got to be exact, brother. 7:30 something. It was kind of late because we were late getting home that day from work. I went and packed my clothes because I was leaving the next morning, going to Kentucky to deliver Christmas presents to kids at 8 o'clock in the morning. When you walked in, what was the first thing you saw with her? She was getting up, trying to get up. She was on her hands and knees, and she kind of fell back over. And I ran over there and picked her up. I got her up. I got her in the bathroom, and I cleaned her up, and it was bleeding bad. I said, Judy, you're going to have some stitches. I said, I got to take you to the hospital.
Jamie's story and Judy's fall explained the blood on the headrest in the vehicle. The police examined the area where she fell for clues. When the lead detective searched the area, he found the ladder around the mantel, where some stockings were hung, and blood along the mantel, the floor, and around the Christmas tree.
Okay, so sounds like she struck her head against the mantle and bled on that and on the floor and stuff like that, right?
The ladder was tilted over into the Christmas tree. They believed that maybe Judy was reaching for the mantle and lost her balance, and that she hit her head on the edge of the mantle.
Right.
Which is what you said, yeah.
Yeah, it's believable.
The Chester County Sheriff's Office wrapped up the investigation really quickly. Some wondered if it was because Jamie was a former colleague.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, the Sheriff's Office believed everything Jamie told them. But Judy's family was skeptical, especially her niece, Jessie McWaters. She didn't understand why he didn't take her to the closest hospital, and she talked to him herself. She felt his story seemed rehearsed and he lacked emotion. She said the phone call was eerie.
Oh my God. I don't have any emotions. I just don't think that this is real. It's like fake. I don't believe this.
It's not fake, Jesse. Only good thing I can say to you is she's in heaven.
Yeah.
Right before we went around that curve, she just told me, she said, I love you. I said, I love you too.
I just don't, this can't be real. She was my person.
Judy's autopsy report raised more doubts.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break and for drinks and potties, and we'll be right back.
Yep, we'll be back. If you're looking for true crime merch with a great fit and feel, look no further. Crystal Kiss has a wide selection of clothes to brighten up your wardrobe. I like to wear clothes that make a fashion statement and says something about me. Like, our true crime and chocolate design describes me very well. I love chocolate and I love watching true crime, so they go hand in hand. Our hoodies are so soft and can be paired with one of our true crime joggers to make a super comfy outfit. Our true crime t-shirts fits true to size. For a night out, throw on a pair of heels and a crop top. Whatever you're doing, Crystal Kiss has you covered. You people in the U.S., get free shipping. You can also use discount code MURDER15, that's MURDER15, and save 15% off your entire order. Check out our wicked selection of true crime merch today at crystalkiss.com. And now we're back. So the coroner didn't understand how Judy got that type of laceration on her head and massive internal bleeding from a simple fall.
Okay, so now we're starting to understand that maybe that the laceration or the injury was more significant than somebody just kind of tipping and falling. Like now it's we're kind of coming to the conclusion now that somebody, obviously Jamie, maybe took her head and whack smacked it against the mantle. And plus the niece is very suspicious. So the niece is so suspicious that she was calling Jamie and recording him on her own. This wasn't even driven by the police. You think that this recording, that she recorded the call? I guess she did because she was calling him herself. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I guess I never thought about that. So the family must have some suspicion about this guy's behavior or something. He didn't believe her injuries came from a fall or the accident. The coroner, yeah. Severe brain trauma was the cause of Judy's death. The pathologist didn't have a final conclusion of manner of death or if it was a homicide or an accident. The coroner wanted a second autopsy performed. Dr. Janice Ross was one of the most respected pathologists in the country. Based on her findings, Judy had 2 or 3 lacerations on her right forehead. Her left 2 or 3? 2 or 3. Okay. On her right forehead. The left side of her head was bruised, and there was a fracture of the skull. She would have gotten the skull fracture if she hit her head on a hard surface, but she wouldn't have gotten injury to both sides of her head. Right, yeah, because she wouldn't have fallen down and whacked her head on the left side and then whacked her head on the right side. Exactly. Okay. So this is like somebody grabbing her head and whack, whack. Like,
Exactly.
driving her head into the mantle.
If she was thrown from the vehicle, there would have been scrapings of the skin if she hit the ground.
Oh, so they're thinking that the entire accident was staged, and like she wasn't actually thrown from, right? Because I'm a little in the dark as to everything about the crime scene, but were there any broken windows at the crime scene in the car? So Jamie may have just driven the car over the ledge of this thing down by the river, maybe just pulled her out and threw her in front of the vehicle after he'd already killed her, and is just acting like, ooh.
Okay, I'm getting there.
All right.
But they still treated it as an accident, and the case was closed. The prosecutor asked for South Carolina's Law Enforcement Division, known as SLED, to do a follow-up investigation.
Okay.
In order for SLED to come in, they have to be invited by the sheriff. But they dragged their feet. The sheriffs dragged their feet.
And Jamie Baldwin, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he used to work for the sheriff's office?
I believe so. He was a colleague. Yeah. He was a colleague of theirs. But a few weeks later, the sheriff's office was forced to reconsider everything they knew about the case. Then, Terry King's house was burnt down.
Wait, what? Who?
Terry King. She was Jamie Baldwin's new girlfriend.
Jamie Baldwin has, okay, his wife died, he has a new girlfriend, her house burnt down.
Her house burnt down.
Okay.
And she was a member of the same motorcycle club that he and Judy belonged to. Jamie moved in with Terry weeks after Judy's death.
Very suspicious.
Terry told police that she believed Jamie was responsible for the fire at her home. She said a bitter breakup was the motive.
Wait a minute. This guy's wife died, and he started dating. He moved into this other woman's house weeks later?
Yep.
He moved into her house.
They moved in together, yep.
Weeks later.
Weeks later.
And they're already breaking up.
Yes.
Holy cow. Okay, this guy is moving at lightning speed.
She wanted him to move out and be gone, and shortly after, her house went up in flames.
Okay.
The county invited SLED to help investigate that crime. They knew somebody set fire, and it wasn't an accident.
Oh, right, yeah, so they got the evidence that on the site that the accident was probably some type of accelerant or something used.
Yes. SLED found out that Jamie Baldwin, also known as Jamie Baldwin Jr., had taken out an accidental death policy in Judy's name before the crash and named himself as the sole beneficiary of $25,000.
It's such a small amount. Okay, all right.
And he collected on the insurance policy. The relationship with Terry King began before Judy's death.
Okay, here we go. Now we're starting to get the gist of everything.
The sheriff's department invited SLED and reopened the investigation. South Carolina's law enforcement, the state highway patrol, and the solicitor's office were taking a hard look at the case. They already found romantic and financial evidence that Jamie had motive to kill Judy. They were afraid that any evidence would be gone because about 9 months had passed. But there were so many inconsistencies. The South Carolina Highway Patrol began their investigation by recreating the path Jamie's car had taken, and it quickly became clear that his story wasn't true.
Oh, right, yeah, because they can tell, like, based on his story, like, if he says he was traveling at this speed and then swerved, you could probably, and knowing the shape and weight and all that of the vehicle, you can probably get a good idea of what the path down would look like, and then compare it to what actually happened and see if it's consistent.
Exactly.
Obviously, they're finding it isn't.
Exactly. There was nothing to indicate that another vehicle ran Jamie off the road.
Right, okay, so 9 months later, this might be hard to track. Okay, go on.
Jamie left a set of tire tracks that were a perfect imprint. If he was going at a high speed, it would have torn the ground up.
Oh, the dirt going down
Yes.
the ravine. Oh, yeah, okay.
And it didn't look...
So he was driving down slowly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you would do if you were actually like,
Exactly.
not trying to kill yourself.
Exactly. And it didn't look like he had hit anything. It looked like he just drove down there.
Yeah, which he did.
Exactly.
He pulled her body out of the vehicle, so there's no damage to the windows probably. This whole story is falling apart. It's amazing that the police originally closed this case so fast. Obviously, they were blinded by loyalty to, like, somebody that they thought they could trust. But, like, that's the thing I was thinking when you were saying it the first time. When we were going through it the first time, I was like, so is there like, signs of broken window? Like, there has to be a broken window for somebody to be thrown from a vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. Inside the Jeep was a black box, similar to what is found in an airplane, that recorded the Jeep's emergency movements.
They never checked that the first time?
Based on the data recorder, he wasn't going more than 15 miles per hour. So there was no way she would have been thrown from the vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, this is like that just seems like such a basic thing to do. Like, yeah, okay, you trust this guy, but like the military says, trust but verify. Like, okay, he's giving you the story. We're not going to arrest him yet, but like verify. Like, yeah, like, I mean, how difficult is it to get that information off the recorder in the first place 9 months ago to just simply say, like, at the very least, if you pull that information from the box and it matches what he said, then you're like, okay, that just drives the credibility home of his story. Like, craziness.
Yeah. Judy's head injuries were not caused by a fall off a ladder. It wasn't a very tall ladder, so her head would not have hit the edge of the mantel. And there were blood spots about over 10 feet from the 9-foot Christmas tree had been. If she had fallen, blood spatter would not have gone 10 feet
Wouldn't
up.
be flinging. You would hit, it might splatter in the immediate area and go straight down.
Exactly.
It's not going to fling across the room.
Exactly. It seemed everything Jamie told the police was a lie.
And the police were, like, very naive or like just wanting to believe nonsense that they just ignored all this, like, obvious evidence. Like, it is really wild.
Dr. Janice Ross explained that Judy was already dead, or almost dead, when Jamie put her in the front seat of the Jeep.
Yeah.
The police feel that Judy confronted Jamie about his affair with Terry, and he attacked her. He struck her with one of the stocking holders, then staged the car accident.
See, I don't agree with the fact that she probably found out and confronted him. First of all, there's no evidence of that. Secondly, he had taken out this $25,000 life insurance policy on her, knowing he was having the affair. I think he was always looking to kill her. And I think maybe he set up this situation. Told her, you decorate the Christmas tree, I'm going to go out and do this.
That's good, yeah.
To go out to his car, to his garage to do something. Probably got some type of weapon or whatever he did. But I think the point was he wanted to stage a situation where it looked like she was climbing the ladder so he could claim she fell. I think the whole thing was planned. I don't think it was I don't think she confronted him and it was a matter of convenience. It was, what do you call it? Passion, like, a moment of passion.
A crime of passion.
Crime of passion.
Yeah.
I think this was first-degree murder, coldly calculated. I get the life insurance policy. I set up the situation, and then I kill you, and then I try to cover up the crime. This, to me, is first-degree murder.
Okay. So we struck her with one of the stocking holders, then staged the car accident. The police took Jamie into custody and talked to him.
I'm going to tell you I have some issues with some of the things you told me. There's blood all over that house, all in that room. And it makes no sense to us if somebody was just falling off of a 4-step ladder, that blood is in places that it was.
I've never been able to get
Let me tell you.
with her all my life. And I don't know how she fell down to it. I wasn't in there.
I think something happened. I think there was some sort of an altercation.
I mean, there wasn't. I promise you.
I think something happened, and sometimes things get out of control. And sometimes things happen that people don't mean for them to happen.
I'm telling you everything.
Jamie was charged with the murder of Judy Baldwin. At trial, Jamie stuck to his story.
Nonsense.
During trial, Judy's son, Josh, was one of the last witnesses called to the stand for the state. He said he tried to ask Jamie what happened, but he wouldn't say anything besides he just wished it was him. Josh also remembers asking Jamie about his mother's death shortly after the funeral. Josh said,
I specifically asked Jamie multiple times. My mom would have called us. My mom loved me and my brother. She would have called us. My brother lived right there. Jamie, did my mother say anything about me and my brother? Did she, when this happened?
Josh said he didn't say anything, so he asked him again.
Jamie, did my mom say anything about me and my brother trying to call us?
But he just got up and walked out. Other witnesses testified that the Baldwins' marriage appeared rocky in the 2 to 3 months leading up to Judy's death.
Obviously.
Judy Baldwin K. Black, a close friend of Judy, testified that the weekend before Judy's death, they had been at a Christmas party for the motorcycle club, and Judy was crying and upset at the party. The jury believed the evidence. November 5th, 2019, Jamie was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. As of July 6, 2024, Jamie Baldwin is serving his life sentence somewhere within the South Carolina Department of Corrections, though his exact prison location is unknown.
What? His exact prison location is unknown? That's weird. All right, well, you got justice. I mean, the case here seems pretty simple. It's like the life insurance policy for me. is the kicker, because he got it right before she died. And
Yeah.
whether we're already having problems and he was already having an affair. The most surprising part of this whole damn case is that the life insurance policy was only for $25,000.
Yeah. It sounds...
The policy payment on that would be small. If you know that you're planning on killing this person in a few months, why not get a high amount, even if you have to pay like a high premium for a couple of months? Like,
not that we're condoning
we're
doing
not condoning
that.
it, but I'm saying it's just so baffling that you would effectively be willing to kill somebody for $25,000. It seems like such a small amount of money to kill somebody for, but
And go to life and serve life in prison for, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't kill anybody for any amount of money, but
No,
like
of course not.
$25,000 isn't enough to live on. Like, it's just such a weird thing to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let him rot in jail.
Yep.
In an unknown prison.
Yep. So that's it. And I want to mention that we mean no disrespect. All the information that we have is information that I found researching the case, and all my sources are in the show notes. And for anybody out there who knew Judy Baldwin, we're very sorry for your loss.
Yeah, it's always tragic.
Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to check out our store, crystalkiss.com.
And our Patreon site, our bonus episode for Patreon members.
Exactly. And all the links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.